Hey everyone, how is everyone doing on this amazing Monday night? Excuse me, I'm just trying to adjust my mic to make sure it's working. Oh, hey, you guys can hear me, huh? All right. So I was saying, when, sir, when were you saying? What were you saying? Okay, so uh, this weekend is a long weekend, means long, like 4 day weekend because 4th of July. Happy the 4th, right? And well, good for you out there. Good for all of you Americans out there. You're gonna have a 4 day weekend, huh? And so am I having a 4 day weekend? Well, I am sort of. I played golf Saturday, actually, like friend and my sister and brother-in-law, you was that Saturday or was that Sunday, huh? It was Saturday, actually. So I played that Saturday. And then yesterday I went to Delaware River Watergate, right? And and I did some hiking, and I basically went to the Bushkill Falls. This amazing falls, and the way they have built the walkways, wooden walkways. And I got the shot from there, huh? Huh? Learn from a tree, don't it? It was from a tree, huh? And then, my wife was with me, obviously, virtually speaking. I missed her. I wished that she was with me physically, right? Hopefully soon, sooner than later, right? So, and then I went to the small, like, Native American museum. It's just like a one room, and, there's a teepee in there, and then, there's some artifacts, right? Native American artifacts. I mean, amazing, And then I came back, like a few hours ago, and then I was trying to work on my wife's visa application, without getting into detail, but hopefully it looks like it's gonna become a reality. Means what's a reality show? Well, it's gonna be real. That hopefully she'll be here sooner. Um, Thanks to all of you out there, your well wishes and your support for me and friends and colleagues and whoever else, right? Um, and then I was working actually because a lot of freaking work. Obviously, I had to catch up. Oh my freaking God! And I hired basically three interns, sort of full time. Summer. I mean, I hired two more interns actually, because two of my interns, they left, so basically I replaced them, right? All right, so. And then I think I'm going to hire another one for construction inspections, right? So that's actually hopefully going to happen this week. And it's that, it sucks that, the interns that I had trained, right? Interns that I had trained, you know, uh, they left now. I have to basically retrain new interns, right? I mean, it is what it is at this point in time. What can we do, right? Uh, I was sweating, sorry, I'm just jumping from one topic to the other. I was sweating so much out there, even at Bushwick Falls, right? Because I was just like walking up and down, and actually, I went to the head end of the falls, right? And then I came down, and then you go down, and then there's a wooden stair and path, right? They have built, and then you come up, right, all the way up. And then I kind of like I just like went off, I didn't want to be part of the whole herd of people. So I just basically just meandered into the woods, and and then I went to the the shop, and I had a hot dog and a bottle of water. I was sweating my ass off, and then I couldn't finish Tammany, Mount Tammany. Um, but I think I went like at least more than 75% of the way, right? And then I was just like so fucking tired. I'm like, this is it, And I turned around, and, my wife was with me, and she was like, it's all right, it's okay. And then I had my, the bagel sandwich, and then I drove back. All right. So, yeah, it was fun, something I wanted to do. I always like to, hike, and, this is like kind of my another hobby, right? If I can, hopefully, you have these hikes, like hour and 20 minutes, whether you go west towards Pennsylvania, although, the top or the height of those hills, I call them hills, people call them mountains, those are only like 1,500 feet, all right? Um, the hikes are, I mean, not as bad as, for example, I did a hike with my wife, right, in Islamabad, right? And that's actually a really good hike too, but that's kind of steep, steep, and that's long, at least like 2 hours one way, right? We didn't finish that. It's just that we went up like probably like, I don't know, 40%, uh, half, maybe halfway, not even halfway. I don't think so. In any case, without turning my podcast into, what do you call, into, a hiking, uh, monologue, or, advice, or no. Don't listen to my podcast for any advice, except sometimes I would say things, and those are just my opinions. All right, I try to be factual as possible, and and this is another hobby I have. I mean, playing golf, doing my podcast, and then just hiking. Oh shit! I had to buy a ticket for my mom because she's gonna come with me at the end of August, right? So, yeah, this week I'll do that. All right. In any case, so yeah, my wife is in Mountain. She's having fun. I mean, I think weddings, her cousin's weddings and all that. And I miss her. I love her, you know. Um, but soon we'll be together. Today is what's third, July 3rd, right? So basically, in like in what do you call in 25 days, right? 25 days, I'll be gone, right? Because I got an email today from Cheapo Air. There's the site that I use to buy those tickets, right? And I think it said something to the effect of 19 days. You're flying, sir, or something like that, right? But in any case, so I mean, I have the whole itinerary printed in my office. But yeah, I'm leaving on 28th and then coming back on, I think, 3rd or something December, right? Not December, sir. 3rd of September, all right? September 3rd, right? So I'm looking forward to that, obviously with my wife, and then to the mountains. I had to figure out what the hell we gonna do. I had to talk to my wife, and etc. etc. I have that Land Cruiser, in Islamabad, and whether I should take it or not. Maybe, but driving is like, from Islamabad to the mountain, it's like a pain in the ass. It's like 15 hours. Like, Jesus Christ. Well, it's more like 12 hours now, but I mean, I'm not gonna drive that much. So I'll probably send that with somebody and then basically I'll fly with my wife. So we'll figure that out, right? Let's see. It was kind of like what do you call up in Delaware, right? Delaware Water Gap, which is basically Bushkill Falls and East Stroudsburg in Pennsylvania, PA, right? And it was kind of like I could feel the moisture and the warm, the hot. So I was just sweating. Oh my freaking God! And I couldn't even like go any further on the hill. And I just told my wife, listen, I'm just gonna turn around. It's like then I sat down, at the real scenic view, looking down at the Delaware River, right? And it bifurcates, and then you can see people in canoes, right? Canoes on the river, and I sat down there, and I was having my sandwich, my egg, one of my egg sandwiches. All right. Well, I guess I did turn my podcast into like a travelogue, huh? All right, so what's new? I mean, it's 4th of July and 1776. Is that when we actually sort of America, sort of, not sort of, sir, got the independence from the British? I'm so glad, and I joke around, and it's not really a joke. Just imagine that this country was still under the British Empire, right? Just like Canada is, right? Something as simple as, for example, if we were still under British Empire, well, first of all, I think our life would be miserable and not as simple as, for example, the American institutions are, right? Uh, because American way of governance and in even education, although I mean, this is not a perfect like system, but I think it's still much better, simpler than the British system, right? Oh, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Transportation. What? All right. In our country of USA, we have departments, right? Department of Education, all right? And and then, you know, the simple, like, okay, just as an example, right? Simple as, for example, if you go to Canada or Britain, I'm not sure about other countries, right? And the addresses, they have the addresses, right? Street addresses, just like us. And then, and I think you got the street address, the city, and then the state, right? But I think, not that I think, and that's the fact that they have the provinces, not the states, right? But then the zip codes are like letters and numbers. Why? See, I mean, a zip code in postal code in England in itself is like a nightmare. Why do you want to have numbers and letters? What does the letter stand for? All we need is just numbers. You know. But in any case, so without bashing the British system of whatever, right? I think we have a simpler system, and that was the whole point of getting rid of the colonization of the Queen, right? And so that's my like rant on you know U.S. Independence Day, right? July 4th, 1776, which is actually about 250 years ago. All right. So if you compare, like, for example, America to other countries in Europe, this country is still young, this nation is still young. Wow. Well, what does that mean, sir? Well, it's young, and then also, and the other thing, oh, this is what I wanted to say. The other thing is that I think the British system or the European or all these other countries' systems are so bureaucratic. You know, yeah, we have bureaucracy here too, but compared to those, I think our systems are much better. All right, and opportunities. Obviously, there are more opportunities here than any other countries. I think, although yeah, I mean, America is not the best place to live on earth, I think. Not that I think, sir. If you Google like best places, best countries to live, right? And then there will be a list of like, these criterion, right? Oh, what is it like? Peace of mind? Huh? Is that the first one? Or, if you have kids, kids education, and then, happiness index, whatever the hell it is, right? How the hell do you come up with the happiness index? Wherever you live. I mean, isn't that like your inner state of mind, real happiness? Well, yes, sir, but then you want to be in a place where you can basically sleep in peace. You can call it a home, where you can buy a home, right? And the taxes are not extremely, what do you call, through the fucking roof, and everything else is also reasonable, right, including if you're driving, gas, groceries, blah blah blah, right, and then the convenience of blah blah blah, right. um, we have that, although again, without repeating this topic, which I think I beat it to death many times in my podcast, which is that, yeah, we have a society, our Western world has been, and also Japan, I think, has been what I call the individualistic society, where people are just like, just. I'm not saying that people are lunatics, but it can make you a lunatic, in a sense that, there are no like real. I'm not saying that there are no family structures, but it's just that people are just living their own fucking lives, and sometimes you just get sucked into this black hole of like whatever work, and then you don't realize that it's just like fucking messing with your mind, and it's like you're getting burnouts, blah blah blah, right? And that's when you need to take a break, and that's when you need to like sit down with somebody, or just have a fucking laugh, have a fucking laugh, watch a fucking movie with your significant other, right? And so I was in that category, sort of, you basically you go to work, you come back, and then, even now, when I'm on work days, and I don't know, I mean, I had to figure out with my wife, I mean, when she comes here, I mean, my routine is going to be the same, or what are we going to do? I mean, because I come home from work, and then I'll have a dinner, sort of my leftovers or whatever else, right? And then I'll basically take it like a 15-minute, 20-minute break or whatever, half an hour, and then I'll get back on the drawing board, right? I guess I will have to do that because we have a lot of work. But I think I won't work until like midnight. You know what I mean? Every night or every weekday, right? Weeknight, right? Hopefully, and And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to bring like drastic changes to my lifestyle, when she comes here and she understands that part, because I've been doing this for like ages since the dawn of the apes, huh? Not dawn of the apes, sir, since you came here and that was your just lifestyle and this is your lifestyle, sir. And yeah, I just felt why am I doing this? Why am I just like living my life, at my own, why don't I have a partner? I mean, for the better, right? And am I like getting into this whole relationship thing again? No. All right. So you get my point, right? But then, some people like their lifestyle the way they are, they're okay with living by themselves and well, whatever floats your boat, sir, man, right? And it's just I think it's sort of a weird like cross section road. I mean, crossroads we are in, I think in 2023, and the social media has exploded, or I hope that it has exploded to a point it has just crashed you know I mean, I use YouTube for my for my podcast, and I'm also using Spotify, right? And then the only time I use Facebook is when I just post my my podcast, and yeah, sometimes I would go on Twitter and then I would rant, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that, If a topic that's actually worth tweeting, although then I realize after tweeting or the next day, right, I realize, oh shit, how did this topic, no matter how significant and important, right, may seem to you, how has that like directly impacted you, right? Well, I mean, my wife's immigration issue, obviously this and that, that's something that has impacted me and her, but we got lucky. I'm not saying that, she has to wait for like months and months. I was just extremely worried that, we'll have to probably wait for like years, but luckily, her application went through, and this is what I didn't realize how fucked up like it is that I know and remember when I was telling you guys that when I was trying to buy this apartment right back in 2022, while I was also getting married, and I was also like my other sister was getting married, and it was just so much going on, and I almost didn't get approved because of my income. From 2020, 2021, even because of COVID, I lost business. And so when you own a business, and you're the only, owner or the member, then, that those losses, get reflected on your, which we call on your personal taxes. And then I realized that, oh shit, that has also basically has an impact on my wife's case. And I was just telling her, I'm sorry, that this what had happened. And like COVID has basically impacted like people. I know people have gone under, like companies, some consultants, in my own category, right? I heard those stories, a lot, but many of us have actually been impacted, like really, And when I look back, which I try not to look back at the fucking past, especially COVID, through COVID, and it was just like I already was going through like this tough time in my life through immigration, for my own like case of, my citizenship, because, I spoke to a couple of lawyers in 2018, 19, and they said, hey man, listen, I don't know. I mean, your cases are not that strong, whatever, right? So I was kind of hopeless, I was kind of hopeless, and hopeless in a sense that, I mean, I didn't have any issues, working here. Obviously, I had a green card, and, I had my company, I had employees, I was basically paying taxes. I was basically contributing to the society, right, in many ways. But when you can't travel outside the country, and then you realize that also, you are just like kind of like closing walls upon yourself. But then I was like going through this whole like, what do you call, emotional period of like I can't even like, you know, see my sisters, my family, and they could come here, but um, it was just depressing for me. And then on top of that, fucking COVID happens in right beginning of 2020, and then I'm like, fuck this. You know what? And everything got shut down and completely, especially here in New York and New Jersey. We were the first ones to basically shut down the whole fucking societies, which was like, oh my fucking God, dude. In any case, so, and then, the impact of that whole thing, on our mind and on our like well-being, especially someone like me who was already living alone, you know, and I was fine with that. I was just like, okay, if I'm not gonna get my citizenship, I'm just going to like, I'm just gonna live my life uh, with the green card. If I can't travel outside, I mean, I said this many times that it's not that I went to jail or something, but it's just stupid shit. In any case, so without getting sentimental and all that, what I'm trying to say is that that whole thing, just impacted like my business, and here I was, I was already depressed, you know, and I was just trying to like get by, and I had just made up my mind sort of that, listen, after talking to immigration lawyers, I had just made up my mind that, you know, I'll just live here, this is my country, and I'll just keep working, whatever happens. And I mean, not whatever happened, but I had just, I think, come to terms with life, that if this is what it is, then I would just, I'll just keep working, working on my company, and just focus on work, and then whatever else I uh, was into. I was going to Colorado obviously for hiking, and I felt like I was home because being from mountains, when you don't like, I was just missing mountains so much that I told you guys that, I went to Colorado in 2018, and then I came back to Brooklyn. I was living there at that time, and I got so much fucking depressed. I'm like, fuck am I doing here? So it was just tough for me to, not being able to go back home, where I come from, visit my family and this and that, right? And so I had just basically sort of made this peace, and had come to terms with life. Right. So I had basically made peace with life. in my own circumstances, up until the end of 2019, I had moved here to Jersey City, uh, and and when I say I come to terms means like I had basically just sort of like said to myself, listen, if this is the case that I can't get my citizenship, so then I'll just focus on work. And am I fucking repeating myself? I think I am. But in that scenario, basically, what was I going to do? Like, because the biggest thing for me was like, if I were to like get into some sort of a really serious relationship, with someone, getting married and all that, and then obviously the first question would come up would be, okay, so where's your family? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Why can't you go there? And all these, I just didn't want to fucking deal with any of that. So that's probably why I didn't really want to get into some sort of a serious like relationship. Um, but what was I going to do? Like if I couldn't go big, and if I hadn't found this amazing woman, my wife, um, and then if I couldn't go back to the mountains, what the fuck I was going to do? I think I was going to just like say. Eventually, I think I was going to say, not say, but I had said to myself that eventually I'll just like slowly, slowly move away from New York. And this was the move, I moved from New York to like New Jersey. And then I was just gonna just slowly move away even further. Um, and further, and I was just going to like not deal with my own company anymore. I think at some point in time, if COVID hadn't happened, I'm just giving you a scenario, all right? If COVID hadn't happened, I would have just like slowly like I don't know, given up my work to other engineers or architects or whatever, and I was just going to basically just hook up with another company and work for them, and then just move out to the Colorado, or one of those states, right, mountain states, and just live there in peace. At least that would make me feel like being in the mountains and being in nature, and yeah, I would be miserable, I'll be fucking miserable just reminiscing about good times and whatever bad times, obviously childhood, like issues and blah blah blah, right? My father and whatever. I mean, I don't want to go into that again, right? Him not being there. I mean, he was there, but I mean, whatever. There was no communication between me and him. But you know, I would have been depressed. Even though I'll be traveling out probably just like go to, which we call, I would discover, I mean, I would go to like these, you know, mountains upstate New York or even like, what do you call the Delaware River Gap, right? And can you believe that I hadn't been to any of these hills because I didn't even think of them as mountains and I didn't even bother to like go up there and do some hiking. And I think, and then the motivation, motivation. I think I have to give props to my wife because when I met her, when we started talking last year, and then yeah, we were obviously we were also fighting know. But she gave me sort of a new life. Besides the fact that, I got my citizenship, I got lucky thanks to the United States government, whatever, right? And then, without getting into politics. Um, I mean, I basically, I had worked hard, and I was working hard, and even now, sometimes I get depressed. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here, right? I was at that point when I had gone through those periods in my life. But at the same time, At the same time, I had built a company. I had like 6 employees. I was running, a comparatively, for a very small business, a payroll every month, which I still, even now I do, right? And so, and so it wasn't like, I was like a burden on the society, and that actually made me more depressed because, and I was talking to my friends and my sister who was here, who has supported me, like, in many ways, and then obviously it was not easy, being a Muslim guy from Pakistan after September 11th, But then uh, I just, uh, I think I had to make a peace, I had to make a peace with life, you know, and I was actually thinking about, and maybe this is also on my mind that, maybe, I mean, this country is, I mean, we went to that fucking war in the Middle East, and that just like, oh my fucking God. And without getting political, and I was actually walking actually today. Actually, I went not walking today. I was in that Pennsylvania town of Starksburg, right? And when I saw these like not murals, but it, what are those things called? Kind of flags. What are those things called, which are actually at the attached to those poles, right? Even the traffic light poles, right? Every like at every intersection, and I saw all these like American, Marines or whatever, their names, and many of them were gone, deceased, and going into these wars, and I'm like, holy shit, And so, I still, in the back of my mind, I still think that maybe I should just move to another country, because who knows what the fuck's going to happen. I'm hoping that, don't get into another fucking war, wherever it is, because that would be a fucking disaster. That would actually make me depressed, you know, that we are basically just going to get into some sort of a war, another fucking, unjustified and, like humanizing. I'm not saying that, and I didn't blame these. Obviously, we can't blame these soldiers, who signed on for whatever, and then they died in uh, in the line of action, whatever, and and I'm talking about like the policies that and then decisions that some of these politicians in Congress and Senate has made in the past, and I have a feeling that because the problem with us Americans, I mean, I'm American more than any other nationality at this point in time because I've been here for over 22 years, and we make emotional decisions, including our politicians, without like fucking, considering any like facts or logic, and that's the fucked up part, But then, where will you go, sir? Where will you go? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I just have to like wait for my wife to come here. We will see where we want to go. I mean, even within this country, because I'm just kind of like sick and tired of like being here in Northeast. Um, Also primarily because of weather, and and I was talking to oh yeah, so didn't I? Sorry, I forgot. So I had few people over Saturday after golf, you know. Remember I had planned that like pool party, but then we realized, oh shit, you know what? Maybe you should play golf because we were planning to play golf. When I say we, me, my sister, and my brother-in-law, because they are getting into golf, which is, I mean, golf is I think it's a good hobby. It's not cheap, but hey, if you're playing, let's say like once 2 weeks, it's not that bad. I mean, you know. Um, and so I had invited few people over. You know, I didn't cook anything except, you know, my sister actually made a salad. I went to that farmer's market, right? And I got some like stuffer salad, you know, something like really like fresh, you know, from the fresh farms of New Jersey, right? Garden State. That's why New Jersey is called Garden State, right? And 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 so we were talking about a lot of things, you know. I didn't have a lot of people come over because I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends, you know. And obviously, many people were traveling because of the long weekend, et cetera, right? And so, where was I going with this? Okay, so yeah, so I had, you know, we were talking about a lot of things, and and what else? Like, where, like, okay, so especially if you have been living in an urban setup, right? For most part, like me, for most part, you know, in let's say in the past, which we call in the past 20 years, you know, I've been in an urban setting, you know. But then if you're single, you know, that's what you do, you know, whether you're a man or woman, whatever, right? Because I mean, why would you want to live in a freaking, you know, even like the deep suburbs where it's only families and you're the only lunatic there, right? But regardless, I don't know. I mean, did I lose the chain of thoughts here? Chain of my thoughts? Maybe I did. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I am after like, you know, going to these places. I'm not saying that, you know, after going to like Strasbourg or Delaware River Gap or whatever, you know, I'm gonna move out there, a place like that, or even like, you know, I went to like West Palm Beach, right, a couple of weeks ago. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. But I think many of the people, even including my own sister, and I think it's a natural process of like, you know, moving out into a more peaceful, you know, area in terms of like, you know, not a lot of people, not a lot of traffic, right? Peace of mind. And then obviously, you know, if you are going to have a family, you need more space, blah blah. And then this is the fucked up part, right? So we're paying so much here for nothing. And 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 for what? Like what why? I mean, even this place that I bought, I'm paying so much goddamn mortgage here. And um you know, you can actually move to like a you know a neighborhood where you know things are not that expensive. You know, in addition to the peace of mind, and you know, yeah, you get more space for your bucks, right? And sometimes we don't realize that because we somehow become these frogs in a freaking pond, and we realize, oh, this is, you know, this is our life, you know. Oh, you know, we are in the city. Oh, it's so convenient. Yeah, the grocery store is here. Oh, the subway is right there, and you know, and then you know, the cinema is right there too. Oh shit, and then the bar is right there. Oh, my friends are like 3 stops away. I don't have to go anywhere. But then when you grow older, you realize, holy shit. Or at least, I mean, I mean, obviously, I'm married to I'm still married to my work, in addition to, being married to my wife. And I can't move out of here because all my clients are here, all my business is here. And I can't do remote work. I'm not a computer, company. I'm not a computer, what do you call it, like an IT company or any of those. I had to be on site. I had to, you know, do all these things. And so, um, what the hell am I talking about? Okay, so where and why? I mean, well, why part is easier because why part is obviously, you know, you even with all the conveniences and even with all the proximity of your friends, everything, right? In an urban situation, it just becomes too much. It just becomes too much, and you realize what the fuck, then you realize that, oh shit, then you in your own mind, you basically step out of that fucking pond, right? And then you say, oh shit, you know what? I need to get the fuck out of this place. But you have to plan it. You can't just like say, oh, I'm gonna burn the bridges or not burn the bridges. I'm gonna basically just like sell everything, whatever. I'm sick and tired of being here. I need to make a drastic move, and some people actually do that. Some people actually do that, and well, good for them. But sometimes that it doesn't work that way. Unless you are in a really bad relationship, right? Unless you are in a bad relationship, living with somebody, and they need to get the fuck out of that relationship. It's like toxic. Including moving out to some other like fucking town. That's a different story, all right? But if you are basically going to make a big change in your life, obviously, you need money. Money and what your job is. I mean, these days, some jobs, including my own sector, right? Yeah, you need to go to the sites, you need to go to the office. My engineers still come to the office, right? But if you are otherwise working in accounts or, whatever, computers or all the other sectors where you can actually work from home, you know, then you don't actually have to think too much about, oh my God, I'm going to move out, but what's going to happen to my work and this and that? But that's right. So for me, that's the bigger part. That's the bigger problem for me moving out, right? So, um, if I didn't have to deal with like something like that, right, I would have probably most likely, because before even, I would most likely move out of the state, somewhere like Colorado or somewhere, right, more peaceful. Um, but I just am in this black hole of work, my clients and this and that, which is good. But if I'm not happy where I am, at some point in time, I will have to say, fuck this. I don't want to be in this state. I don't want to be, I don't want to pay like bazillion dollars in state taxes and I don't want to be here when it's freezing and it's like, Jesus Christ, our traffic are so many people are, this and that, right? So, so that then becomes like what your built environment, not built environment, sorry. You are basically your immediate environment of like, your friends or your relatives, right? Yeah, you can't survive by yourself. That's the truth. That's the fucking truth. Like a lot of people obviously move in and out from every state. You know, you name it. America, I think, is where many people like move in, move out of these fucking states, cities, and they're like, you know, every fucking second, I think somebody's moving in or moving out, right? So then, for people who are pretty like sort of like independent, right? Um, you can actually make friends. You can always make friends, but I'm not saying that you should burn your bridges with all your friends where you are right now. And then, and I don't think I'm going to actually. I can't. I mean, I can move, but you move to a new place, and then and you like it, and then you basically just become part of that. That's your home, And for us, I think I said this last in my last podcast. I think it was kind of like I was kind of worked up because of the whole thing that like, I had to basically move out of the town that I was born into a different town with different people speaking different language, and then we moved, and then I from there I had to go to fucking college. That was a different culture, different like language, and it's just like it's a constant hassle, it's a constant hassle, and many people, many of you out there, you know, you uh you experience that, except for maybe Americans who were born here, raised here, right? I mean, unless you are moving from one state to the other, and the only difference is like, okay, your accent, right? That's it. Uh, where the hell am I going with this? Well, I mean, I'm just rambling, sir. I'm not going anywhere with this. The point I'm trying to make is that if I want to, let's say, move out of New Jersey, then I'll probably like move out to further into suburbs, right? This is already suburbs of like New York City, right? Or even like this is like the suburbs of Jersey City, right? That's where my office is. But moving out of here would mean I would just, depending on what me and my wife would decide, right? Um, Moving out means I just move out further to New Jersey because I'm not going to abandon and just like, you know, uh, leave my clients behind and try to just run away. I can't do that, And so I will still be here, in my obviously my office. It's just that I'll have to commute a little longer, right? And that's about it, I think. That's about it. I can't, unfortunately. Did I actually made my freaking podcast, you know, just moving out of state or out of New York, I mean, New Jersey, or, out of USA into another country? I don't know. But I'm just saying that, like, if I visit someplace, right? If I visit someplace, I like it there. But you can't just, okay, so you can't just visit a place and say, oh, you know what? I want to move out here. You can't do that, right? You have to basically, you know, feel the place, right? You want to feel the people, you go to a local bar, like talk to some locals and hey, what's going on, blah blah blah, right? Or whatever, if you have a job, locals with local other like colleagues, they will tell you, etc., right? So there you go. I mean, um, you just get the feel for it, and I think that's what I'm going to do with me and my wife. That's what we're going to do, I think. Um, if we move out of here, I'm not going to like move out of here and just do a house in, let's say, where like what's the little more peaceful, like like more like houses out there, um, in New Jersey from here, right? I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't even looked into this. All right. Uh, so. So I guess I will have to basically just maybe slowly. Okay, slowly. I think I'll just move out of here slowly, and like natural, with the natural progression of like moving out, right? It's not like, I can't do that. It's not like I'm gonna say, oh, ooh, you know what? I'm just gonna sell this fucking place, and then we just gonna like move to wherever, right? Eventually, I think I'll do that most likely. But for now, I'm here in Jersey City. This is my home, and and I have to say this again that my wife has given me like this relationship that we have. It's it's great, and remember, compromises, always compromises. Okay. Um, it's just so I have to remind myself as well, about all these things. That there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. You just have to make the relationship, for better for both of you, both of us. And I would say this that like yeah, I got my citizenship first last year, and then that gave me like a whole different perspective. I went back to mountain for the first time after 22 fucking years, right? 21 actually, whatever, 22, I think, whatever, 21. And and uh and then after I met my wife and started talking, and then she also gave me a lot of inspiration, a lot of inspiration where I just felt like, yeah, you know what, dude, you gotta live your life. You gotta live your life now, not only for yourself, but also for her, and then for our future, you know? And so I have to give her props because, like every time I go to these, like, these wherever, I go to these hikes, or I go to, even, sometimes I go to golf and she's with me if I'm playing golf by myself. She's there with me, she's giving me all the support and the love, and you know um and so otherwise, I was just on a fucking green card, and I had no fucking like real direction, in a sense that I just was going to just compromise with life, and just stay here and don't go anywhere else. This is your home. You can go from one state to the other state, and that's it. It's okay. It's okay even if you can't go back home to mountains where you were born. It's okay. You can always reminisce about that, and yeah, I would be depressed. Sometimes I would be depressed. Although I would say that now, yeah, I can go back, but then I realized, going twice last year, one for the first time in May, and then second for my marriage, actually in the third February, right? It's a long freaking journey to go there. From here to go there, it's like a 22-hour flight, and oh my freaking God, it's not easy, Obviously, I have family there, my wife is there, so, and I want to be with her, Uh, um, yeah, I mean, it's like, if you're going from like from here to like east, like those like South Asian countries, it's just a long flight. Is a pain in my ass, and can't do anything on a fucking flight, Luckily, we're going to Turkey. She's gonna come to Turkey, and um, so the flight I think is like 9 hours, 8 hours, uh, this time, and then from there we're gonna go to Islamabad, right? All right, everyone. I think I just rambled. Really like, literally, I just ranted and just like, sorry, nothing like whatever. Maybe, maybe I should have talked about like fucking, what do you call my usual rants about like how the universe is just is as it has always been, and maybe the astrophysicists are wrong, or I don't think they're wrong, but you get my point. I didn't talk about any of that, but maybe next in the next one I'll talk about that elaborately. You know, uh, I think maybe yeah, maybe whatever. I mean, I don't want to like have a topic. I don't want to have any agendas for my like podcast. I just talk whatever comes into my mind, and just my life. That's what it is. That's what my podcast is all about. And if you all are, basically, what I have, what like six people listening to my podcast. If any of you out there, I don't know. I hope you don't get depressed by listening to me. If you get some inspiration, I mean, I don't want to say that. All right. But life is not perfect. It's not a perfect life, and none of us is perfect. We are not perfect. We are flawed human beings. We are flawed because of whatever our chemical imbalances in our mind, or because we haven't seen the better, when we were growing up, or whatever. I mean, I should be more grateful for everything that I have. At the same time, I just feel like I fucking hate this world, and it has just like fucking treated me as some sort of a like doormat or whatever. Sometimes I get into that fucking like depression. And then I had to pull myself out of that and say to myself, hey man, look at the fucking brighter things in life, all right? Positive things, and you have an amazing partner in life, you have some good friends, and your company is doing okay, although you have a lot of fucking government debt you have to pay back, and then mortgage and this and that, all those things. But then again, all this is fucking part of life. So all you out there, the only thing I would say is that if you have made mistakes, it's okay. Try not to make those mistakes again and just move on, just fucking move on with your lives, and whatever. I mean, I'm not talking about you did something extremely stupid. Even if you have done something extremely stupid and you have learned your lesson, you got to move on, right? But even something like, because sometimes I get like into this mindset of realm reality, not reality, but realm, alternate thinking of like just like making stupid decisions, like this apartment that I bought, I was telling my people who came here, that this noise, because of the stupid, Sims factory, and this and that. Maybe I should have looked into this like a little more logically, and spent my time, thinking this through. Maybe I should have looked at another apartment. I mean, and then this just becomes a fucking chatterbox in your mind, right? And that's what becomes a chatterbox in my mind. And then when that fucking, like, it's like a chain reaction in my mind, right? That fucking chain reaction starts, right? And then I start thinking about what other mistakes I made in the life, right? Just decisions, like stupid decisions, right? And 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 and, and then and then I have to like say to myself, listen, man, you might have made, yeah, maybe you made a lot of fucking stupid decisions in your life, right? In the past or whatever, without maybe not choosing a lot of logic, maybe Maybe you have OCD or whatever the fuck it is, right? But then what are you going to do now about those, right? All you have to do is to just not think about those. Fuck it. Whatever has happened in the past has happened. Who gives a fuck? That's it. That's it. So that's, I think I'm gonna close my podcast on this note, and I presume you all are having a great week. Start of the week is Monday, although for us here in US, it's a long weekend, and happy 4th of July. Jesus, where is